Mr. Pretlow, I'd like to do a little bit deeper dive into something that's very important to the rural areas of upstate New York, and that's the electric school bus mandate. You said previously to my colleague that we had come to perhaps a 2-year pause or up to a 4-year pause. How did we get to 2 or 4 years? Why not 10 years?
This was the result of negotiation between the legislature and the executive, and this is what we settled on.
So was the input of the various school organizations, I've read all the memos, and universally across all of the organizations that represent public schools, particularly in regards to this mandate, they were urging that it be paused. And in fact, was there discussion that it actually be given as an opt-out ability for schools to be able to say, look, we're not ready for this, can we opt out of it? Was that discussed in your negotiations?
I'm really not sure whether that was discussed, as I was not in that room. There are a lot of issues having to do with the mandate on these electric school buses. I'm pretty sure that many stakeholders did submit information to the individuals doing the negotiations, and this is what came out of this is the final result of the negotiations on the extending the deadline on enacting these.
Well, I would certainly hope that the listening continues, because this 2-year pause, while beneficial in the short term, because this mandate was supposed to take place in 2027, it's something that the technology isn't ready for it. What is your estimate right now of the costs that these public schools will have across New York State will have to expend for these electric school buses if they fulfill the mandate in 2 or 4 years? What's the cost estimates from your?
Well, each school district would be different, but my estimate is that the electric school bus costs at least twice as much as the regular diesel one. So I would think that their expenses would at least double.
Yeah, so thank you for at least saying that it would double. It can be sometimes between 2 or 3 times the estimates that I've been given. And what we've also learned is that this could cost between $8 and $15 billion, particularly onerous for the rural school district. This is a matter of rural equity. I did a very unscientific poll of the districts in upstate New York, and universally they said that if they were allowed to opt out, they would actually do so, because the technology isn't ready, they don't have the money for it, and they also don't have the infrastructure that goes along for it. Have there been any estimates on the state? I see that we are finally getting around to requiring the bus companies to give a good faith estimate of what the performance is of their buses, but have we gotten any estimates of what it would cost to upgrade the electrical infrastructure of all the school districts in New York State to comply with this mandate?
That is not part of this proposal. There is money, I know, in the capital part of the budget to do some of that, but I think the expenses that will be necessitated by full implementation of the electric school buses will be tremendous.
And that would be some sort of capital aid in school budgets?
Yes.
Not transportation aid, correct?
Well, it would probably fall on, it depends if the school district has their own buses or that they use the service.
Well, either way, the taxpayers are going to pay for it through increased lease costs, or they're going to buy the buses themselves. So the taxpayer is going to have to pay for it through the school budget one way or the other. That doesn't matter which financial scheme you have, but what the actual cost is for the electrical infrastructure. Because I'm getting estimates, and this is from a lot of rural areas, that the actual charging infrastructure, the grid doesn't have the ability to provide that electricity. So would the cost of upgrading the grid, would that be included in the electric school bus mandate costs?
Well, I think upgrading the grid, those costs would be on the providers of the electricity, I guess is my
So it would have to go to the Public Service Commission and get an increase in what they can charge in order to pay for the upstream costs of that charging infrastructure.
I think it's more than just what they charge for it. It's the actual production of the electricity. I don't think that we have the capacity at this point to produce enough electricity to even put into these charges.
You're right. We don't have the ability to produce that electricity, and that would be a great reason for extending this moratorium on this mandate out to at least 10 years to be able to say, look, until we know that the grid is ready to be upgraded, to be able to charge these buses across New York State. 2 years isn't enough, 4 years isn't enough. Let's actually do a cost-benefit estimate of what it would cost to upgrade the grid, and then take the cost of the school buses in current year terms and actually cost them out and see what the taxpayers can bear. Because what is the estimate that the state is going to pay for transportation aid for these electric school buses for our
I'm pretty
schools?
sure this goes by percentage, and that percentage is determined by the need of the districts, how many students are being transported, how far they're being transported. Some districts receive 20% reimbursement for costs, some receive 90%, depending on what the district is and where they are. I don't see that percentage changing because we're changing the type of buses that are being used.
Well, actually, this is an additional cost, so transportation aid would have to increase. So what is that amount that the state is going to put into the transportation aid in the out years to be able to pay for these buses?
Well, like I said, it'll probably be the same percentage that they're getting now, reimbursement for transportation aid. Some districts are receiving 20%, some districts are receiving up to 80% reimbursement for transportation costs. It all depends on the district, the number of students being transported, the distance of the aggregate distance that the buses have to travel to pick up the students.
Sure, but this is, just for the record, this is an $8 to $15 billion additional cost. Right now, school districts only get about $1 billion of transportation aid. So when the state requires this mandate and then doesn't provide state money to actually pay for it, then the local property taxpayers have to pick up the bill. And unfortunately, in rural areas, and this is what the rural equity problem is here, is that they have to choose between educational programs of actually providing program to schools or paying for these additional mandated transportation costs. And that's what's particularly frustrating, and why, I think we ought to extend this well out into the future until the grid is ready, until the technology is ready for the actual buses. I did want to talk about the truth in advertising for bus manufacturers. We've actually recently lost one of the bus manufacturers that was making these things. How many buses are made each year to be able to respond to this demand signal from from schools to be able to buy these buses? Are there enough buses out there right now to be bought?
I don't know the size of the market for school buses.
Yeah, I'm very concerned about that, because
there is a waiver that if buses aren't available, districts wouldn't be forced to purchase districts from faraway places.
And that would be unfortunate, because when the supply can't respond to the demand signal, this is basic economics, then costs go up. So that might not even be 2 times as much, 3 times as much, 4 times as much. We're just going to get ourselves into a very double bad predicament for our school districts. Okay, that's it for electric school buses. I just wanted to hit very briefly on the so-called free school lunch program. How much is this program actually going to cost New Yorkers right now?
On the school lunch, the total cost? $340 million.
Is that in addition to what we're already paying, the $150 million that we're already paying, or is that total cost?
That's the total.
Total cost. And where does that money, how is it broken out in a percentage from, one of the requirements of the program is that we bill the feds for the share of their program. How much is that going to be matched by federal money?
There's probably around I think the aggregate amount from the federal government is $2 billion annually.
So it's a significant amount,
Yes.
the amount of money that comes for free. The actual school lunch program. Where is this source material for those school lunches required by New York State? Where is it required to come from?
There is no requirement.
Is a certain percentage of it required to come from New York State farms?
It's not required.
Is there a goal?
I don't believe that was in the conversation. I know that we do promote New York products, and I'm pretty sure that districts would use local sources for their schools.
Great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that sentiment, Mr. Chairman. Madam